In this section, you'll create an actual project plan that'll help you frame your project. This process will help you create guidelines and protocols so that you can easily repeat similar projects in the future and carry it out more effectively and efficiently. Proper planning is the key to effective project management. If you invest the time to plan well up front, it ensures that the project goes smoothly and successfully achieves its aims. One of the biggest mistakes businesses make here is to assume that because a project is small, it doesn't require the same thorough planning as a large endeavor. A person may jump right into the work without planning. However, lack of planning can have the same problems for small projects as it does for larger projects. The planning stage takes the most investment and effort, but if it's done well, the rest of the project simply involves execution and reporting. The effort expended here means less effort and less decision making later. There are 4 key components to project planning: project sanctioning, project charter, estimating, and scheduling. Let's take a closer look at each of these components. Sanctioning involves obtaining the approval of the project sponsor before the project officially starts. But first, you need to identify who the project sponsors are.
A project sponsor is the party that, in simple terms, is asking for the project to be carried out. The sponsor can be either internal or external stakeholders. If you're working with clients, the client is the project sponsor. When this is the case, the client is the number one authority on everything that goes on. The client determines whether or not the project is a success. In this situation, the client is referred to as top-level support. Top-level support is the person who is authorized to sign off on or make purchases. The project charter is a document that outlines what the sponsor or client expects the project to produce. This is a statement of the scope, objectives, and participants in a project. It's an overview that allows everyone involved in the project to easily understand its purpose and objectives. The charter is intended to be a business document, not a technical document, so it should be short and summary without every little detail. Project sanctioning occurs when the sponsor signs off on the charter.
There may be other external sponsors as well. Internal sponsors include supervisors or other departments within your company. In some cases, you may be running a project for yourself. Example of this would be things like setting up your own website, opening an e-commerce store, or carrying out a marketing campaign. In this case, you don't need to sign off, but you still need a project charter that outlines the project and its requirements. Be cautious of project handoff. If the person you're working with directly during the project is different than the signing authority, make sure the individual who signed your charter is your point of contact. It's called project handoff. When one person signs off on a project and another becomes a point of contact, this can cause major miscommunication and confusion. For example, let's imagine that you're a salon owner working with a bridal party to plan hair and makeup for a wedding. If the bride is paying, but the bridesmaids call to make changes to the specs, always verify the changes with the bride herself. She is the official sponsor and signing authority. Here is another example. You're an instructional designer developing an online module for a company. You work with the executive director of the company for budgeting and scoping, but the executive director introduces you to a subject matter expert, who then becomes your main point of contact. Remember that it's the executive director, not the subject matter expert, who needs to sign off on the charter. As part of sanctioning, you also need to draft the project charter we just mentioned before getting started. The project charter includes the essential details of the project, such as its objectives, sub-phases, tasks, resources, and so on. It also includes the next 2 components, estimating and scheduling. Along with the objectives, the charter should define all business issues that the project is addressing. At the top of your project charter, list the essential details of the project. These include
Project name, project sponsor, project manager, the person in charge of the project, a list of all members of the project team. There should then be a project description, which summarizes the major points of the project, including its purpose. One of the most important parts of the charter is the project scope. This defines exactly what the project entails and what it doesn't. What it doesn't entail is out of scope, meaning that these things are not handled by the project manager and team, but by someone else. In other words, the project sponsor needs to use their own resources to get these things done. The scope should include things like business issues to be addressed by the project, desired outcome of the project, project objectives, main project deliverables, in scope, out of scope.
You may also include examples of optional items that would be add-ons, which are out of scope but can be arranged. This charter document should include the final due date for all deliverables and a place where the project sponsor will sign off on the project after reading this document.